Good afternoon and welcome to Co-Ed for Kids Facebook Live. Today is our last Facebook Live that's brought to you through our prevention grant. We're going to talk today on a topic that sort of carries over from last few weeks ago we did on bullying because of the effects that fall from children being bullied or children bullying or into the area of a self-esteem. A positive sense of self is one of the greatest gifts that you can give your child. Children with high self-esteem, they feel loved, they feel confident, they're competent, they feel they can do things well, they develop into happy and productive people. Today we'll talk about ways to build your child's self-esteem, to build your child's positive self-image as he or she grows up. My name is Melissa Shamel. I'm the Special Projects Coordinator for Co-Ed for Kids, the Prevention Services. I'm here today with a guest that was here with us a few months ago. This is Kelly Zimmer. Thank you for being here today, Kelly.
Oh, I'm glad I could be here for our last one together.
This is the last of the Prevention Grant. Our topic, as I mentioned, was bullying, and I thought in today's world, you'll see the bullying manifest itself in many ways, and not always fighting and not always aggressive, but there's a lot of underlying issues and topics that go along with bullying that go unseen sometimes and results in a lot of ways that are negative, and we see them in the world today. So I brought Kelly here today because she does obviously work with lots of children and has a few years with that background in preschool and infant toddler positions. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what you see in children with low self-esteem or low self-image. What does that look like? Maybe can we identify what it comes from? Because I truly believe in working with children that their behavior oftentimes is a result of something inside of them. So we really need to hit that piece that is what's breaking their heart right now that they're displaying outward. So what might cause some of the low self-esteem? What does it look like in children, and what could it be from?
Okay. Well, let's start with what it looks like, because that runs the gamut. And I'm going to give you some examples of what it could look like. But please, please, please don't think if your child is exhibiting one of these that your kid is automatically in that low self-esteem category. It might be a red flag to sort of look around and examine what else is going on. One of the things that we see a lot in kids with low self-esteem is that child who just gives up easily, who doesn't seem to have a whole lot of persistence. Could be a quiet kid who has a toy taken and just sits back and lets it go. Doesn't say, oh, that was my toy and you need to give it back to me. That kind of thing. Or it could go the total opposite way, and it could be the kid whose toy is taken and he pounds the kid who took the toy. Honestly, those are both examples of low self-esteem. And then, of course, it runs the gamut in between there. Both of those kids are kids who don't really know how to express themselves, how to say, that was mine, give it back, or so they had hit, or that was mine, give it back, and they just sit back quietly and don't do anything. So those could both be examples. I feel like there were lots of things that I could say about this, but I'm going to let you sort of lead me into the rest of it.
You're fine. Keep going.
I just feel like this is something that we, as Melissa said, I've worked with infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. We even see this in older infants. You can start to see a pattern in kids who maybe don't have quite as much connection to the people around them for whatever reason. And again, that can run the gamut. It could be lots of kids are just quiet kids. Or on the other end of it, there are also those kids who are just really outgoing and really aggressive. Some of that's just wired in kids. And as you begin to understand how your child is wired, then you can work with your child to either increase their abilities to express themselves or to decrease those negative ways that they might express themselves. But again, that just requires the connection.
So, and I think going back to some of the previous lives we've done with that brain development,
Yes.
we need to keep that in mind, how that brain is developing and what's happening at what age and what developmentally what should be happening. But I'd like, even when you mentioned about infant toddlers, how you can start to see it and they exhibit, that's by that praise and acknowledgement and interaction and connection.
Yeah.
Is very, very important with our infants because it starts there.
And can I talk just for a second about that whole praise thing? I'm old. I've been around for a long time. I've been doing this forever. And I was the queen of awesome when I was in the classroom. Awesome, awesome, awesome. You did an awesome job. You're an awesome kid, blah, blah, blah. We've really come to understand that children need a lot more than a good job, an awesome, you're a great kid. They need to understand exactly what it is that they're doing or saying or what they are that makes them awesome. So instead of saying, that was awesome, even for infants and toddlers, I would recommend saying, oh, I see you picked up your blocks. That was helpful. That will keep our room clean and safe. Give them a little bit more. It means that you're going to have to stop and think about it for a minute.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different way, I know, of talking because it took me a long, long time to get there. But it makes a huge difference. When you say to a kid, I see you did whatever, that was helpful. I swear to you, they really tune it in. They really start to get that maybe I am a little bit special. Maybe what I did was great. And not only is it good for the kid that you're talking with, but it's good for all those little guys who are around wondering what it is that they can do to be awesome also. It just, we talked so many times about how that awesome is a judgment that I make. And that's not doing your kid any good. That is making you feel better, but it's not really helpful to the kid. The kid needs to know what it is that they did, whether it's negative or positive, and how they can do it differently or how they can keep doing whatever it is. It takes a little longer. It takes a little thought, but it is so important. And I'm telling you, it brings results. I walk into a classroom and I don't know most of the kids in the classroom when I'm there observing or helping. But if I can connect with a kid by saying, I see that you did whatever, and that was helpful, and in what way, I connect with those kids, and those kids will listen to me, even the first time I meet them, because they know that I'm paying attention to what's going on. It's all about paying attention and then articulating that to the kid. It's really, really powerful stuff.
And they sense that you're sincere when
Yep.
you say that, and you're
Yep.
not just making that blanket, everybody's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. That takes no effort whatsoever. And it really, you're right. It doesn't impress them in the least. They could care less. I mean, it might help for a minute, or that dumb sticker that you put on the chart might help for a minute, but it's not going to make a lasting impression upon the kid or the kids around that child.
And it validates what they've done. Yep. And it encourages them to do more because they see where they're a part of that group and they're a part of doing things right. They're that community, I guess. Right.
Yep.
And I think it is very good to know that comes from us as the adult that's with the child too.
And that really truly is the beginning of building a positive self-esteem. When you tell a kid what they're doing right, and like you said, it'll help them to want to do more. And kids who are doing the right thing feel good about themselves. And it just sort of builds from there. And you need to start early. Or start late if you're just starting. Just start somewhere. Just start. And, take it a little by little, because it really is sort of foreign to most of us at first. It's something that just takes a little time. So it has to start with you. And I'm telling you, unfortunately, it starts with us all the time. We're responsible for helping to build that self-esteem. And we can tear it down just as easily by not being careful about what we say and how we respond to what children do.
That's for sure. And I know, like, even in the classroom in the mornings, it was pretty important for the staff to be at the door. So when when they came in, you greeted, hey, that's a cute green shirt, I like it. I mean, that just, we as adults like that compliment once in a while,
Yeah.
and how that kind of
Just that noticing.
noticing. Yeah.
And, not just for the child, but for the parents too. Taking those 5 seconds to just say, how's your day? Or, is there anything I need to know? All of those things just help to build connection with not just the child, but with your parents also, because you've got to build those connections with those parents also. And connection is key to everything. And it doesn't take long, but it's really, really important. A little bit of eye contact, a little bit of happy, a little bit of just noticing and focusing on those people, even if it's just for a couple seconds, can really, truly make a difference in how their day starts and how the child's day starts. And it can all go up from there, or it can go the other way too, depending. So it's important.
And it's something we can all do. We're all capable of doing it.
Absolutely.
And
it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of getting used to doing it.
And it just, it becomes that habit, and it individualizes when you're, if you have more than one child. And that, one of the questions I was going to ask, we kind of finished with, how can you tell when they're not feeling connected? Because, even we as adults, when we walk in at work or in some location and somebody compliments us or asks a question sincerely, how are you doing? Or, something specific they know going on in your life, we tend to feel a little more connected.
Yep.
And that's important, because in those connections and developing those relationships, everybody wants to do good. Yep. Everybody wants to do well.
If you're connected to the people that you're around, you want to make them happy. You want to do whatever it is that is going to make the day go better. I work in an office with 6 other women. And when I first joined this office staff 7 years ago, you would walk in and nobody said hi. They weren't mean, awful people. They just didn't say hi. Well, we say hi now. We ask how our nights were. We start the day off in a positive way, and it really makes a difference. I refuse to ignore people when they come in. And at first, I think I might have bugged them a little bit, but now we all do. And we all feel much more connected to one another. We communicate way better than we used to. And, it's hard to work in an office with that many women. And it just makes the day go better that we started off with that positive connection. It works. So it works with adults. It works with kids. It is truly the way to go.
Yeah. And they remember that.
Yep.
They'll remember those positive things. And it's funny how when I hear young adults talking about childhood, what they'll remember, and it's interesting. Sometimes the not so good, the bad is more obvious, and they talk about that more, and they laugh about it now. But we always try to say, well, there was some good in that. What was some good things? That's great. So that's the connection piece. And then I'm noticing too sometimes that self-esteem and self-image, when they're not feeling cared for, and they're not feeling cared about, and they're not feeling loved.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, that part too takes a little bit of time to think of words and nonverbal, body language to let your child know that they are cared for and they are loved in so many ways. But it's work we need to do.
Yeah. And, again, it's the same thing. You'll see a couple different kinds of reactions. Either the kid who's sitting in the corner playing alone and very quiet because they're not feeling connected, or that kid who's running around crazy and pushing and taking somebody's toy and, whatever. They're also not feeling connected. And with both kids, you need to say, I see that you are, by yourself, or that you're having a hard time and you're hitting your friends. Something's happened. How can I be helpful? And then just starting that conversation. They might not be ready right away, but they probably will stop and either perk up if they're the quiet, or maybe calm down a little bit if they're the rowdy one that's around the room. And eventually, and it's not going to happen overnight, but with enough noticing and with enough connecting, they're going to either perk up or calm down. It works. That whole focusing in and connecting makes a huge, huge difference.
We have to stay at it. We have to stay
Yep.
consistent.
Yeah, it's not something that's gonna change overnight.
Overnight.
You're exactly right. You got to be consistent. And honestly, I have seen children change so much. And we say it over and over again. Until that kid feels connected and loved, they're not going to learn. You're not ever going to accomplish what you want in your classroom with that child until that child gets to a place where they feel safe and comfortable and cared for. And particularly, they feel loved, because that is a huge part of what's going on. A loved kid is a kid who can learn, who's ready to learn, who wants to learn. So it's sort of tough, but it happens. It happens constantly. It's doable.
It is, and it's important. And I think at the young age, the younger the better, the more we start it. And we talked a little bit already on why this self-esteem is important in child development, because I think if they're feeling good about themselves, what you just said, they're more willing to learn, they're more open to try things more than once, they don't give up so easy.
Yes. It's that persistence. That's the thing. Persistence is sort of tough. It's tough for all of us. And if you're not feeling good about yourself and good about where you are, whether it's at home or school, you're not going to be persistent. You're going to just give up and move on. That persistence is one of the keys to having a learner later. Well, now or later. That's really important.
Right. And when I hear concerns parents, why is my child like this, and what am I doing wrong? I think we need to get, I don't want to say over that, but we need to move beyond the whys, and let's just deal with what we've got right now and work on that.
Yeah. Don't beat yourself up about this. Just look for a different way to do it. We love our kids. We want our kids to succeed. And maybe all we need to do is settle down, focus in, and spend a little time. Put your cell phone down, turn the TV off, and just spend a couple minutes playing or talking or whatever it is, so the kid knows that you're there for them. It makes a world of difference.
We have some other tips and some ways to help boost your child's self-esteem. I'm still learning this one. Don't do everything for them.
Yes.
There was the helicopter mom that kind of hovers over and makes sure. Now I'm hearing that there's the lawnmower mom that moves everything out of the way.
I haven't even heard that one. Oh, that's cute.
Lawnmower. There was something else that on those lines that I'm going to move everything out of the way. Just but that's not been good. Don't do things. You don't have to do everything for them.
I really liked seeing this on here. We spend a lot of time, particularly as for toddlers and preschoolers, talking about jobs within the classroom, because kids who have responsibility feel a sense of ownership and a sense of pride. I have kids tell me all the time, I have to go to school today because I am going to be the door holder, or I am going to be the lunch server, or whatever the job might be. Those jobs make kids feel special, make them feel needed. So they need those kinds of jobs at home too. And I know sometimes it's easier to just do it for them, just get it done, clean up for them, whatever it might be. But truly, 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 kids need to feel a sense of responsibility. They need to feel like they're a part of the family or a part of the classroom, and that if they're not there, something's not going to get done and it's not going to go as well. And I'm telling you, they stand up straighter, and they truly, I see kids all the time come into classrooms, and the first thing they do after they sign in is go to see what their job is for the day, because that's really important to them to know that they're going to contribute to their classroom or to their home.
In their home.
So,
right.
And I know as a mommy, I wasn't so good about that.
Well, we think we're helping, but sometimes we're doing a disservice.
Yes,
a disservice.
Exactly.
Well, assigning age-appropriate household chores, and then try not to use sarcasm.
Yes.
And that's a hard one. As I just told you before we started, when you hear people in public use that sarcasm, or they label their child, they call them a name or something, and they think it's either funny or they think it's cute, but it's hurtful.
It's hurtful. It's absolutely hurtful. And particularly coming from your mom or dad, the person who's supposed to love you most in the world, it's very hurtful. It's never, ever. And people say, oh, they know I'm teasing. No, they don't. No, they don't. And I am a firm believer that words can be more harmful, negative words can be more harmful than hitting your kid. I really truly think those words can last longer and have a more devastating effect on kids. So that's sarcasm. You're right. That's just not, kids don't get sarcasm. Studies show that they can't even begin to get that whole jokey part of it until they're between 9 and 11. So before that, and I even hear teachers sometimes who say, oh, I'm just teasing. You really, truly cannot do that with such little kids. They don't get it. And it just seems mean and hurtful to them.
Well, and if that's all they're hearing, they're going to grow up and give that right back to you. And then you're going to be upset that that's all they knew. That's what we model for them.
Yes, exactly.
If we're not careful. That was interesting. That's true. One-on-one time with your child. And that's important when there's more than one, obviously.
I have a friend who has 4 bio kids and now 5 adopted kids for a total of 9 kids. Plus, there are some grandkids in the mix now, too. That woman manages to find special time with each and every one of those kids every week. I think that's phenomenal. Do you know what that says to a kid? Mom found time just for me because I am special and I count. Oh my goodness, she couldn't do anything better for those kids. Even if it's 15 minutes, it means the world to a kid to know that you're carving out special time in your busy day for them. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. We recommend that teachers do it, particularly with kids who are having issues. If you can find time to just be with that kid, to just focus in on that kid, what are you saying to that kid? That's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. It makes a big difference.
Letting know no one's perfect. No one is perfect.
Including the teacher or the mommy or daddy. And I know a lot of us have trouble doing this. I see it a lot with teachers. Well, I'm the teacher, so I must, do everything this way. I cannot tell you how fascinated kids are to hear that a teacher made a mistake. Oh my gosh. It totally rocks their world to know that somebody can be normal like them and can make mistakes, admit it, and move on. What a great lesson to teach a kid. Okay, I made a mistake. Whatever. We're going to, in consciousness, we call it an oops moment. Oops, I made a mistake, but I'm beautiful and I'm moving on and it's going to be okay. And if you can do that and acknowledge that in you, then it makes it a whole lot easier for the kid to say, oops, and move on too.
Yeah,
because the only way you learn is to make mistakes.
That's right.
That's exactly how you learn.
Stand up and
take it and move on.
Start over. And
there you go. You're right.
Well, I think we've covered quite a bit. Is there some other things that you might, it's obvious how important self-esteem is in child development. We've given a lot of tips on some ways, simple, free ways to boost your child's self-esteem and their self-image. I think too that, we may not always know what causes it, but let's avoid doing any more damage and let's just try to boost that child's self-esteem up in many, many ways.
And it's never too late to start. Never, ever, ever too late to start. So, say oops and give it a whirl. And like Melissa said, these are easy things to do to get started. And just choose a little something that sounded good and start there and move on from there.
And it might seem hard at first and it's challenging at times.
And it seems sort of weird, I think, to some people at first.
But,
it's worth it.
I was so rewarded. My daughter posted something about my mom's been gone quite a few years now. And she said, I'll never forget Nana's, I love you, a bush on a peck and a hug around the neck. And it was just like, oh, so there was my mom, before the day of all of this that we knew, really instilling positive things in my children to raise their self-esteem. And she worked with me, doing all that work and helping their confidence and create a positive
Making those
self-image.
connections.
Mhm.
Yep,
But that
absolutely.
made me feel, it kind of was heartwarming,
Yeah.
because you never know what you say or do. It's going to stick with your children.
Yeah,
Right?
good or
Good or
bad.
bad. Well, that comes to a close for this evening. I really appreciate Kelly being here with me today. We're coming to you from Cambridge. Thank you again to our viewers, and reminder, this is COAD. COAD is the Child Care Resource Agency for 31 counties in Eastern Ohio. And this broadcast is brought to you today in partnership with the Ohio Children's Trust Fund and the Eastern Ohio Regional Prevention Council, whose mission is to prevent child abuse and neglect through investing in strong communities, healthy families, and safe children. Our eastern region consists of the following 10 counties: Belmont, Carroll, Coshocton, Guernsey, Harrison, Jefferson, Monroe, Muskingum, Noble, and Tuscarawas. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you to Kelly again. And our viewers, if you'd like to make comments or leave remarks at the bottom in the comment section, that'd be great. Let us know what you picked up from today's tips and any important piece of information that you might be able to use soon or quickly or easily. Check out COAD for Kids on our YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, COAD for Kids, and resources are available on COAD for Kids webpage. Thank you and have a great night.